Today's episode is one that I know it will make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a lot uncomfortable. I used to believe in it very much blindly. Loyalty without judgment becomes very much, I would think about it like an entrapment. Sometimes staying is very much avoiding and leaving is the courage that you want to have. They frame it as loyalty. When you look close, what you often find is very much fear, commitment is not the same as endurance. And knowing when is the right time to leave is not really betrayal, is very much a wise thing that you should do. Marhaba and how's it going, everyone? And welcome back to Yuwab, where we go deep on the things that shape how you lead and how you live and how you feel about both of them. I'm your host, Saeed Alghafri. And if this is your first time with me, thank you so much for joining. And for my usual guests, I am very grateful that you're spending this time with me. This podcast exists because I believe that the best investment you can ever make is understanding yourself and make yourself aware of what's really happening within yourself. And I want to be part of that story. Before we begin, you know what to do. If you haven't rated or shared my show on Apple Podcast or Spotify or YouTube, please do it. It shouldn't take you a long time. It should take you just few seconds. This means a lot to my show and to myself, and it would reach more people who would need this reminder. Today's episode is one that I know it will make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, maybe a lot uncomfortable. I used to believe in it very much blindly. Not that I do right now, and I'll tell you what happened. Because we are going to talk about loyalty, which may sound like a quality or a value for some of us. And it is until it is not. There is a version of loyalty that is very much honorable and rare, and this is just amazing. But today we're going to talk about the version of loyalty that quietly trap you. And then we're going to learn how to differentiate between the true loyalty and the loyalty that really traps you. So let's dive deep into today's episode. So loyalty is one of the most, I would say, celebrated values in any corporate culture, even at home. And leaders usually value this specific trait. We really admire people who stay and who are very much committed, who really don't walk away when things get really difficult, right? Who doesn't? When things toughen up, we really want to have people who can stay and deliver. But here is what nobody talks about. Loyalty without judgment becomes very much, I would think about it like an entrapment. Throughout my career, I've watched talents, a lot actually, with really very much high integrity when it comes to that. And they stay in the wrong organization for years. Not because it's really right for them, but because leaving feels like betrayal. And I've seen leaders remain in their roles that were quite destroying them, very much. Not because the role had values, it's because they have invested so much that leaving or walk away may felt like admitting that they have failed. And I've also seen a lot of people remain loyal in a version of a company that doesn't even exist. So why would you even stay there? What I mean by that, in other words, is loyalty to the idea of a place is not really loyalty, especially to its previous identity, which you attached yourself to it, and to what was promised to you at that time and hasn't been delivered to you. That kind of loyalty doesn't very much serve you. And honestly, it doesn't really serve the organization either. Very important. I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm trying to deliver here. This episode is for places and for people who have not identified what you bring to their place. Very important to bring that to your attention. You know why this is important? Because loyalty and as an identity is very much common among higher performers. You know, those are the people who care the most, who were raised with the value of commitment, and who tie their self worthness to what they do. For these people, staying too long feels like a strength, and leaving feels like a failure. But that framing is absolutely wrong. You know, sometimes staying is very much avoiding, and leaving is the courage that you want to have. You know, the cost of misplaced loyalty is what? We're talking about years in an environment that doesn't really sees your value. And that energy you spend on trying to fix what you can't really fix, and opportunities that you've really missed. You know why? Because we were very much committed elsewhere and we haven't seen around us. And this very much leads into slow erosion in confidence in your values and those around you, and the environment that once promised you for that reward, which is not going to happen to you anymore. And you really don't deserve that. Let me share with you some daily examples that you see all the time, and I'm sure you've encountered it somehow. And maybe you're living it currently. Think about that professional who has reached a point, some point, where they feel that they're overqualifying for the current role that they're having. You know, and they say within themselves, you know, we're loyal to the current relationships and we don't want to leave. Very typical. Or that leader who you have today who keeps telling their team members and you that you have to be loyal. You have to be loyal to the job. If you're not loyal, you're not going to be basically promoted. And what happens is when the next promotion cycle comes, nothing happens. And you miss out a lot of opportunities outside because of that loyalty aspect. And that good leader that you thought is a good leader is not giving you anything back. And then ultimately, when you tell that specific leader that, you know what, we're not staying anymore, it feels like betrayal and that's not loyal to them anymore. And that's not right, by the way. So don't have that feeling. Or that person who is very much loyal to a group of people or so called friends. And every time they bully that person and make fun of him. And when you ask that person, why are you basically very much loyal? Although that you're not happy, they just say, we don't know. We just want to be there. In every case I told you, all these examples, they frame it as loyalty. But when you look close, what you often find is very much fear, lack of identity, and that comfort that you feel it's comfort is very much betrayal to yourself and to the people who very much depend on you. And ultimately, you're just going to basically put a hold on your potential. And then you're going to end up with no action. So your loyalty will sound very much like an entrapment and not a choice that you should make. Let me give you a couple real stories that I have encountered in my life. And this one, the first one is very much personal. And you know, I've told everyone this story because I always like to repeat, I always like to remind myself how important this advice was at that time. But I really didn't take it seriously until very much recent. I had a friend, and one time he gave me an advice. He said, Saeed, we were basically chatting, and I said, I mean, everyone does that. I'll give you an advice. And I'm like, awesome. The guy was someone that I looked up to. I was a manager at that time. And he told me, Saeed, loyalty is amazing because every time we speak, I speak very much about this, loyalty to the place, etc. And then he was like, you know, I hate to break it to you, man, but when you exaggerate that loyalty thing all the time, it doesn't really serve you very well. And let me tell you what happened to me when he said that. You know, I was telling myself, what is he talking about? Loyalty is key. And when you're not loyal, it feels very much like a betrayal. to the place I am in, and to my boss, and to those who are around me at work. So come on, man. That's basically out of my dictionary. And I was like, this guy is nuts. How could he talk about loyalty this way, etc. And every time I think about it, because no one told me this in the past, I would basically laugh about it. And every time I call him or he calls me, I tease him like, yeah, come on, man, Mr. Loyal and all that good stuff. And I even told my manager, and he was like, Saeed, don't even bring that to my attention because I hate to discuss the loyalty aspect. And listen, this is just a silly idea. When you think about it, the idea of sticking to a job is very much important. And that was going into my mind at that time. My job was very much fenced, no one could even touch it. And wasn't even thinking about leaving or thinking about looking at anything else, just the job. Because I felt if I start thinking, it would become unethical. And to be honest with you, my friend at that time clearly explained to me what it meant very much, but I wasn't very much listening. And I only got it recently. And guess what? This friend right now very much appreciate what he has done. And comparing to all the people that I was looking up to, he's a CEO and he's sitting in three boards versus other CEOs who are very much sticking to their place. And when I look at the credentials of this person, very much a diverse resume because he's been changing and basically changing his career, changing his thinking, changing the workplace because that gives you a lot of experience as you grow up in your career. And definitely I would hire this person. He brings a lot of diversity when it comes to that. And let me tell you something. This guy was trying to tell me, Saeed, listen, my friend, I'm not saying that loyalty is something that you should avoid, all right? But it should not blind you from all the opportunities that are outside. Network. Let other people see your work. And this sentence is something that I only realized recently, but it was too late. So I had to invest a lot, and I invested actually 4 times compared to what he did because he's been doing that and living that for a while. And honestly, I haven't even succeeded to what he reached. What I can do right now is advise you and advise all the people not to fall into what I did. Let me share with you a second story. This lady approached me for some coaching support. And when she came to me in the beginning, she was like, Saeed, I want to do some career development plan with you. And usually I do a discovery call in the beginning where I understand what the person wants, where they see how I basically talk and how I coach and what's my style. And during that discovery call, I basically reached the conclusion that this lady is very much knowledgeable, hardworking, and very much career oriented. So I was telling myself, why the heck would she come and reach out to me? I was telling myself, and I was very much curious. Then during the call, I mean, once we basically went through the call, she talked for around, I think, 20 minutes or 25 minutes. And to be completely honest with you, I kind of lost how many times she used the word loyalty. It reached a point where I was like, come on, just stop it. Just stop it. And then at the end, she was like, you know what, Saeed? When I told her that, you know how many times you said the word loyalty? Her reaction was like, you know what? I'm not loyal anymore. This person was promised a very big promotion to a vice president, and she really worked her back out and did it all. You know, from strong leadership, dedication, and loyalty to the boss and to the super boss. She even did her peers and subordinates work to that extent because she didn't want to let go of her manager. You know, if she would work for me, I would definitely rate her exceptional and nothing less than that. And when the time came for that promotion, you know, her manager came to her and said, I'm sorry, but the current leadership is leaving. and your promotion is not going to happen. And like everyone else, this lady became very much disappointed. And I do feel her, and I would do the same as well. 3 years passed, nothing happened. She's still in the same place. She hasn't really invested anywhere else. She's been having sleepless nights about what to do. Shall I stay? Shall I not? With the fear of if I leave, will I do good outside? Will I lose my relationship at work? Will I lose my relationship with my friends and family because I'm gonna basically lose all the things at work? A lot of things happened. Then a new leadership came, and the manager got a salary pay, and she didn't. Even after that promotion that basically she was promised and not she didn't get, new management came, her manager got a salary pay, and she didn't. And now she realized that, you know what, I need to look somewhere outside. And Saeed, please help me with my career development. And she was like, it's better be late than sorry. When you look at this example, you really figure out that this lady did it all. But unfortunately, she did not look at the other opportunities outside. Before it was late, she depended very much on a place where she was promised 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, but never happened. So here are 3 key elements that you should know when loyalty has become a liability. The first thing, ask yourself, is this loyalty or is it a fear? And think of real loyalty as a choice. It's something that you've made, not been forced. You made it with clarity, and you should think about loyalty as it should come natural. And this is done when trust is made with leaders who walk the talk. On the other hand, any loyalty based on fear is a choice that you make without any confidence. Think about it this way: when you sit within yourself and the thought of leaving is filled with anxiety and all that, explore that. It might not be the love for the place, it might just be the fear of the unknown, the fear of being judged, or the fear of losing an identity that have become very much tied to your current role and not to yourself. The second thing is separate the people from the place. You know, very much we are often loyal, not to the organization, to the people who are very much inside it, to your boss, to your peers, to the people that you work with. But here is the truth: great relationships survive even when you depart that place, and the real ones will always stay, even if you leave. So don't let the confusion of the two keep you from growing. And always observe if the current place you're in is shaped by the people who are managing it and it's not the culture, because it's very dangerous, because it's not very much healthy, and it will depend on the mood of these specific people. The third thing is ask what staying is costing you, not what has it giving back to you, what it really has cost you. And then when you think about every choice that made you stay and not to pursue anything else, think about these things. What have you said no implicitly by staying in? And when you name that cost, honestly, the calculation significantly changes. You know, and I'm talking about your growth here and the impact that you should leave on your family and the people. And that's the reason why we exist. That's the main reason why we exist. Think about it like a cost benefit analysis in your life. Maybe you struggle today and you get paid off, and that's really awesome. But if the struggles keep coming and nothing comes your way, what are you waiting for then? And as we come close to the end of today's episode, I'd like to reflect on these questions. Where in your life are you staying out of loyalty? And is that loyalty truly common? What are you protecting by staying? And is that thing still real? And if loyalty were removed from the whole equation, what would you choose? And who are you being loyal to? To yourself, to people, or to the place? Write it down because awareness is key for you to change and be very much honest about it. What I learned, loyalty is a profound value. Don't lose it. And I'm not asking you to basically avoid it. Be very much selective about it. Be loyal to the people who have earned it, to the values that they're living, not just stated, to the organization that really gives you back. And be honest about yourself. And know when loyalty has become just the one direction. Because the most loyal thing that you can do for yourself and ultimately for the others is leaving before it goes against you. And as we end, I would like to leave you with this today. Loyalty is not the same as staying, and commitment is not the same as endurance. And knowing when is the right time to leave is not really betrayal, is very much a wise thing that you should do. I always enjoy talking to you about growing your own potential. So please rate my show as we speak. And don't forget to share my episode. Someone out there may need this reminder, and they will definitely thank you for it. Thank you so much for being with me on Yuwab. And until next time, lead with clarity and always be honest with yourself. مع السلامة.